Right, here we go. Welcome back to the channel. Just a short one today because we're getting ready to add some colour to the things I noticed, which I want to go through before I spray it. Probably going to spray it not in the video because it's nothing set up at the moment, and there's too much to do. So, I've got a crack in my phone. That's a nasty one and all. So first things first, when you take the on the Airfix kit, I'm just going to bring the camera down. When you take the fuselage halves off the sprue, you're presented with, you've got this framework around that sits around the engine. These little, let me use the bit of bent brass, and so these, so this one here, this big round black thing, that one there, and then there's one down here as well, down at the bottom there, and there's also one there. That one, don't move that, but they've all got to be taken out because they're there. I don't know why they're there actually, but I've looked at the drawings closely and they're not there on the drawing, so these have to come out. I guess they're just there to help stabilize it. Probably going to need to use a scalpel. I did have a quick look with the Xuron cutters. I think there's too much of a risk of causing damage to this framework here, which we definitely don't want. The second thing to notice that I've noticed is the edges of this fuselage halves. Let me just check the other one quickly. They're quite bad. They definitely need cleaning up all the way around. In some places they're very sharp. The chamfer where the sort of cockpit is, where the glass panels are sit, is quite dreadful really. I don't know if that's showing up very well, but that will need sanding and getting right. Along the top there, you've got some horrendous marks, and these are not where it was clipped off, believe it or not. This is just part of the fuselage. So it seems to go together okay. It's pretty much the same story on the other side. It seems to go together okay. There's not too much in the way of like warping. Just try and, yeah, there's quite a bad, I'm just trying to get that on there. So it's definitely going to need clamping. So we've got a little bit of, yeah, there's a little bit you can see at the front where it doesn't want to. So it's warped a little bit there, and then at the back. But you just nothing too bad. The rear stabilizer, I don't know what that is, upright stabilizer, that needs shaping, that needs reshaping. It's quite, I don't know if you can see, but it's, one side looks to be much bigger than the other, and as a result you've got a bit of a ridiculous fit. You can see on the inside there, let me turn that light down, see whether that helps. You can see there's quite a big chamfer there. Let me try and, right, you see that edge that runs up and round. That's quite thick on that one. In comparison, it's non-existent on that one, apart from the back. So when the two halves meet, it's a bit of a poor fit. You can see the big edge sticking out there and at the back there. So these all need addressing, preferably before spraying. So I think I would probably recommend dealing with the these little notches first. Let's deal with them. And you're going to need a good sharp knife for this. Now, I wasn't planning on actually doing this online. I was just going to tell you about these bits, but we may as well go ahead and do it. Just lightly going, very lightly, just scraping, because this is quite thick. This plastic at this point here is very thick. If you press down too hard to try and, you know, make a cut, it's going to, I'm not happy with that blade. So just give me a second while I find the blades. Just remembering where I put it. Get them in this box. Yeah. Some of my tapes and blades in here, so it's just remembering which is the right one. Let's change knife actually. I'll try and remember. I don't know if that's the right one or not. That's quite a big one, that. So I have a feeling is that these. Went through a stage every time I went to the shop to buy blades, I'd forgotten my size and everything, so I ended up buying a new knife, a new blade. So now I've got multiple knives, all different sorts of sizes. No, that's for the small. That's the small handle type, which I do have. Which is that one, so we can put that one away. Just pop that down there for now, and put it away later. Be extremely careful with these if you're only small. No, actually, I think I have got the. Is that the big one? I think that might actually be the big one. I thought it looked little a minute ago. There's a size written on it. Swan Morton #1. It's definitely not that one. It must be that one then. Make sure. Something not going on right here at all. What's is that? The blades for that? I thought they're different. They're not the right ones. That's the ones that I should be using. All right. There we go. That'll do. I'll keep that. That one's rubbish, so that has to go in. I don't know. We've got a sharp spin because I have to take a lot of injections, so I normally put the blades in there, the used ones. But what I do when I've packed one away, I normally write used on it. That's not a very good pen. There we go. Right. And then I know I'll stick that to one side and then I'll put that in the sharp spin later. Let's take these knives out of the way for now, sort them out later as well. I'll get the blade sorted out so I know what's what. Right, now we should have a better... There we go. So, utmost care is required here. Just keep gently scoring across the same line if it's being a problem. This one is definitely not wanting to play. That's one out. So just try and keep the framework around it as still as possible. Come in and clean this up afterwards, but we really don't want to be damaging it. It's going to be much harder with these sections here because you can't rest them on something, but I fear not, I have a plan. It went fairly easy. And instead of going from the top on these awkward ones here, coming at the side. Now these ones here, if you've got anything, you can pad underneath them. For example, just prop like that. Just something to support the framework. And then again, just go through. And through again there, I think I went through, yeah. And then it is a bit awkward. Try and get it on the corner. I've got this last one. Oh, just rubbed it me in the face. Nearly went at my nose. High velocity plastic. I don't know how I would have explained that to the hospital. Huge, great big bit of plastic up my nose. Right, so that's that one done. So you get the idea.
Fruit lollies.
So now we'll come along and clean that up. So for the cleaning up, because it's so, wouldn't say extreme as such, but because there's so many different awkward areas that need to be done, we're going to use a range of sanders. So I'm going to fall back on these again. They've proved very useful. Highly recommend those. They are available from Mike Jolly, Model Kits for Less. Links in the description below on this thing. And then I'm also going to use these. I got these from Mike Jolly as well. These are handy for getting into smaller areas also. They're thinner than the thinny sticks that I used from UMP. But they are, just trying to see whether I've got one with a thicker grit. I need to get some more in the range. Right, so use that one. I've also, obviously we'll also be using the thinny sticks. And for the bigger areas, we'll be using the traditional and for very, very thin areas where there is very limited access, I shall fall back on these that Dave Price sent me. These have proved very useful. I've got to find out from Dave exactly the sort of numbers, part numbers and that for these, so I want to get some more of these. They're so much thinner than those. They're, I guess they might even be thinner than the needles I've bought. So we need to go around. First of all, just go around with a general. This one's quite worn, so it's not going to do. Just very lightly, applying no pressure, because we don't want to be taking off all this lovely riveting work that's on the outside, because it's raised, and I wouldn't even know where to begin to put raised rivets back on. I don't have a riveting tool either, so the only riveting you'll see on this channel at the moment is me working. Well,
Rabbit, and I don't know about ribbon.
I've got to keep talking, because otherwise people will just go.
You're getting better.
So I just go along there, and then when I've been along there for a bit, I just run my finger up and down, make sure it's not sharp, make sure it's not all bumpy or lumpy or anything, and that's okay there. But we come along here, and we have got a bit of a sharp edge here, but we've got two little. I think they're supposed to be there, so at the moment I don't really want to wipe them out as such. Let me just check the other side. No, it's very difficult to tell. Looking at one side, I would say it's meant to be like that, but now that looks like it could just be flash. Right. So my initial assessment was wrong on that, I think. Let's just see it. I don't know whether that's flash or not. Let's refer to the drawing just to get an idea. Right, no, it's flash. So we're okay, this can come off. There's two little spiky bits there. And I really thought that was some sort of detail. So just being careful. Then we come round down by the cockpit. And now we come to the shaping of this front, which is probably really quite bad. Is it that time already? Right. It's actually looking at the edge of this fuselage. It's odd because when you look at it very, very closely, the edge of the plastic flares up. It doesn't come over and stop smooth dead. It's not like a 90-degree angle there. It's sort of it comes round the top and then it just flares up at the end. So I don't know whether when that goes together, that's probably going to cause a little bit of an issue in that it's definitely going to need sanding along here. It may be that this spine may cause some difficulties in filling. So I need something a bit stronger to get rid of that. Let's try. It's nearly there, but I think a little bit tougher. Yeah, that needs. Just keep. So you can still see the little raised bit of plastic there, but you can't actually feel it. The telling will be when we get it put together and get some black primer over it, we'll be able to see whether it is actually there or whether it's gone. There's something supposed to sit in this hole here, so I'm not worried about that. Right, so then we come round. It's like I said in the previous episode, it's a very time-consuming kit in terms of level of cleanup needed. If you want to make it decent, then it is a bit time-consuming. And I'm guessing. I know there's going to be certain people that are sat there going, "Oh, he's using the wrong sander for that. And, oh, he shouldn't be using the white one. That'll tear it to pieces." And well, honestly, does it look like it's tearing it to pieces? There we go. I'm happy with that. Then it's got some horrible plastic on here, and I think it may be necessary just to re-drill the holes that they've got in there, because some of them look as though they've blanked off half. So I'm only really going to, when you've got plastic like that and you can clearly hear it's almost like a violin, the sort of, just try and hold it to try and reduce some of the stress on the plastic, because otherwise there's a good chance it will snap. And when you're using, if you're using a heavy grit sander, or one like this which has got quite a coarse finish on it, just be very gentle, very lightly with it. Don't push down, because if you do push down, you are going to take huge chunks off in one, you know, in just a couple of sweeps. So again, I'm just trying to bring back some of this, so that it's just flat. Not you probably can't tell on the camera, but it's very uneven. It's not really that straight. It's all wiggly on the edges, especially that top one. I don't know if you can see it. Anyway, trust me. Hi Mark. I did see your message, but I've been trying to get this done. So then we come along to this. This is a nasty bit. The lovely thing about these tiny thin ones is you can come along and you can get right into a corner and get the 90-degree angle back on there just by tilting it slightly and just gently drag. You can get those specific I mean, I'm looking at it very, very closely at the moment, so I can see the exact amount of flash on there, and there's quite a bit. And then underneath, it's a bit more there still. flat surface back. Perfect. Now we come along to the bottom. Just go in there where there's a... There we go. Underneath. Okay. And we've got one of these little nubs that were left over from... Just try and sand that down as best you can. You're not really going to see it from the outside. Now then, I've just noticed this. But I'm wondering whether there's meant to be... we've got holes drilled in each of these sections here. Along there you can see there's little holes drilled all the way along there in there. I know it's hard to see, but there. Now, if you look at the bottom, opposite that, we've got the... So we've got the holes down there. We've got the sort of shape, but not the holes in them. There is a tiny little mark in the center, which looks like... So I'm wondering if there's meant to be little tiny sort of location hole there. I know I shan't be doing all of this cleanup. on live build, because it's just nobody's going to want to sit and watch a 2-hour cleanup of 2 fuselage halves. I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to. So what I'll do is I'll just do this one, and then I'll probably call that a day for as terms of the video. And then what I'll do is I'll go away, I'll finish these, cleaning up these 2, and I'll probably spray the inside in the color. Now the color, it's the Humbrol color it tells you is slightly wrong, I'm led to believe, and I am told, and I have no reason to disbelieve this person, that that is the right color, XF71 cockpit green. So I'm going to use that. I know that Humbrol number 78, if I remember correctly, is a cockpit green, but it's sort of it says it's a darker green. I think this, as this person's told me, this is right, so I'm going to go with that. I'm hoping that once this is I'm not going to take any more off of that. That's an awkward one to get into. In fact, even with my super thin ones, that's going to require the use of a very, very thin file. I do have a set to get into that corner and remove what's left of that plug, that sort of shaped plastic that was in there. But we can get that sorted. That's not a problem. Nothing's really a problem. It's just a matter of using whatever skills you've got to overcome it. If you don't have the skills, then it's about using your learning what you can from the process. So I've never had to do anything like this before, so I'm just, you know, making it up as I go along, really. I've said this before, I'm not a professional modeler. I just do it for the enjoyment. I just do the videos because I like sort of mixing with people, interacting with people. I love doing hangouts and things like that, talking to new people, making new friends. I love it. And that's what the hobby is for me. Sadly, not everyone you meet can be nice, but that's the risk you take. It's a pity. Some people are just too shy to go on as well. There's some lovely people out there, but they won't come on because they're too shy. They're not sure. They don't know how people are going to be with them, and I understand that. There are some awful people out there. I've met them. But just do what you can. Right, now I'm hoping I'll be able to see the difference. Or I don't know whether that bit actually needs to be on there. Is it just in the way? I'm just removing these sort of pieces. I don't think they need to be on there. Right, so just this front bit, let's see if we can tell if there's a difference. So how are we best going to do this? So that's what it was like. Let's look on the inside. And I've done a bit of cleanup now. So first the inside. Still needs a little bit. You can see there's lots of excess plastic in here. I'm not sure yet whether that's supposed to be there or it needs to come out. And then on the opposite side, so I hope that's looking better. You know, as modelers, we're always really critical of our work. And then it's just a case of quickly coming along the rest of it, the areas where it didn't look too bad. There we go. Just make sure that's okay. Try and use, when you're sanding like long areas like that, instead of doing that and then moving along and doing that and then moving along doing that, because you're going to end up with uneven surface and bits taking out more here, less there. So I try to start at the front of the sander that I'm using and then slide along to the, so you've got that sort of motion going. That way you get an even amount off. It should take all the lumps and bumps out. And the same if you're doing an edge, you start halfway through and draw it back all that way. And along here, come to the back. Now that looks nasty, that, but I'm really not sure how much of that I'm supposed to leave alone. So I'm just going to show you that. You see this horrible, that is more than just flash, but it's also serrated, so it's a little bit sharp. I don't think it's meant to be there, but the other side has it as well. And I don't know, so the question there for me is, I'm going to have to look at the instructions and see if that's got to be removed. Let's have a quick look. We haven't put the rear section on yet, have we? No. Right, so I just need to look at the rear rudder just to have a look and see. That's the rear rudder. Now that has an edge as well. Is that meant to be there? I don't know. So, as I don't know, my theory on things I'm not sure about is to leave it on because it's easier to remove it than put it back. Leave it on. I can put it together still. It's not a problem. I can get it all up to that stage. And then if it does need to come off, all I need to do is sand it. Alternatively, if anyone that's watching or watches this has done this kit before and knows of this problem, and they could tell me, does it stay or does it go? Should I stay or should I go now? If I stay, there could be trouble. Anyway, they don't want to hear me sing. Right, so I'm going to leave that there for now. Again, I haven't got as much done as I thought. I wasn't anticipating this taking so long. My apologies. And I think the next episode, hopefully this will be sprayed, and we'll be ready to start buttoning up the fuselage, or at least getting the cockpit in some shape or form. So thanks everyone for watching. Thanks to you if you're watching after the live feed. It doesn't matter, it all counts. And keep on watching, and hopefully we'll create something nice out of this rather infamous Airfix kit. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. Wow.